Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish, especially when it comes to toppers and double, especially if those are magnetic toppers. So I've been doing some videos on my channel for a while where I've been sharing swatches of some of my favorite different types of toppers, including magnetic ones. And typically I've been doing that by brand. And by the way, in case you happen to miss any of those videos, I'll put a link in the description to that playlist where you can check those out. But across a few brands, I somehow have amassed 5 different silver magnetic toppers in my collection. And so instead of like featuring these polishes in those videos for those brands, I thought it would probably be more helpful to put them in their own video here to do more of a head-to-head comparison, because you know, with magnetic toppers of any color, not just silver, there's always the question of to what extent will you be able to see the base color that is underneath, and you know, to what extent will there potentially be some kind of like gray cast that may darken it a bit. I've got to say, like, this is a video where the most that I've done so far to just kind of prepare for this is to swatch out like the base colors that I'm going to be putting these on top of. I have not gone through and like actually swatch these head to head to see how they actually compare to one another. So I'm like, I have some thoughts and predictions about how this might go, but I really don't know. So it'll be very genuine reactions that you see from me as we see how this shakes out. So yeah, just like I think I did in one of my most recent videos about magnetic toppers, the way I'm going to do these is to show you how they look on a stick in the velvet style, and then I'll also show you how they look swatched over white and black, and then also red and blue, so that you can get a sense of like how do these look when they're put over colors that aren't white and black. And yeah, I'm really hyped about this because I love magnetic toppers. Please don't ask me how I came to have 5 in my collection. That I honestly couldn't tell you. Stuff happens, I guess. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. As always, I like to begin by showing you all what's on my nails today. The dress that I'm wearing today is like purple, blue, galaxy. So I decided that I was going to wear this like dark teal jelly based glitter moment here. So what had happened was there's this polish, Emily Damali Plot Holes Oops. One of the first polishes I got from Emily Damali a couple years ago, actually. I don't even know what the regular plot holes is supposed to look like. That's not the oops. I think if I remember correctly, looking back on it at the time, one might have been intended to be darker than the other, but don't quote me on that. It's been a couple years, so I can't say for sure. But this is a polish that, especially with it being an oops batch, no longer exists for purchase. However, it is a polish that I absolutely love because it is dark, it is teal, and it is full of glitter. So what I did was that I made my own version of it. And I actually started, so when I wear this on my nails, I start with one coat of this dark teal cream from Cracked called Teal Dark and Handsome, so that I have like full opacity to begin with. And then here is the version of this that I made a couple months ago, and you can see here it's like pretty dang close. Like I think as I was mixing up my dupe of it, the thing that took me the longest amount of time to get right was to figure out how to get that teal jelly base dark enough without making it full on black. So you can see here, if you look on like the stem of the brush here, that it is in fact teal and not just like completely black. Now, one thing I really like about this is the versatility of it. So when like I said, I started with the coat of Teal Dark and Handsome, and then when I put just one coat of my dupe of this on top of it, at that point you can still see that there's like a teal base color that I've put this over top of. But the thing is, because the teal jelly base in this polish is just so dark, which I love, by the way, it is so dark that, you know, if you didn't know that this was technically like teal, it reads as black from a distance. I love this. So one last thing I'll mention about this is that in the video that I posted before this one about the Polish and Beauty Expo that's coming up, I mentioned a part in there about the polish making workshop that's offered as part of the PBE festivities. Like, you have to have a ticket for it, but I talked about my experience with that, and one of the suggestions that I gave was when you are there, like, you don't want that to be the moment that you are suddenly beginning to think, oh, okay, I only have like, I don't know how much time, like let's say an hour here. What am I going to make? So my suggestion in that video, which I'll link in the description of this video so you can check that out, is try to dupe a polish that is one of your favorites that you can no longer buy. So in this case, knowing that this Emily Damali Plot Holes Oops is something that I absolutely cannot buy again, as soon as I, so this bottle here was one that I made here at home after I purchased my own polish making supplies. I thought, you know, let's give it a try, see what happens. And so I'm very happy with how this turned out. It's dark, it's glittery, and it's teal. I mean, what more can you want? Up first is Crack's Thin Ice. By the way, I've decided to do these alphabetically by brand. So we're starting with C. And here is what Thin Ice looks like in the velvet style. For this first polish here, that's when I'll be going through a few of the logistics notes that will carry over throughout the rest of these. So for the velvet style, you can see that I've swatched it over white and black. For all of the swatches in this video, I also will be applying the DRK Magic Effect and then a toluene free top coat after that. In this case, I've done the DRK Magic Effect and top coat already off camera. For all the cat eye swatches, I'm going to do those off camera as well. And yeah, this is the velvet effect. Now let's jump over to our swatch wheel. Now, some logistics here about what I'm going to be swatching these over, in case you're curious about what any of these exact polishes are. The off-white cream that I use is from Cracked Crinkled Lemons. The black that I use is from Bee's Knees Lacquer Void. The red cream that I use is from Zoya called Janelle. And then the blue cream that I'm using is also from Zoya called Beckett. Last thing I'll mention here about these is that for all of these swatches, I've put a coat of top coat over them, just because I know from these swatching videos, they sometimes can have a tendency to smear if I don't do that. That doesn't really happen in my real usage of these polishes, because in real life, I'm just like never like doing a half swatch like that. But just saying, if these swatches are looking a little bit extra glossy to you, that is why. So let's begin with our white and black split over here. I'm trying to think if I've used Thin Ice like for real yet. I don't remember, but you know, the thing about magnetic or any kind of polishes, but especially like magnetic toppers, is that there's only so many different sources out there for nail polishes and magnetic pigments. So it's not really going to be the case that you have a certain brand that is sourcing, well, I don't know necessarily. Maybe some of the boutique brands have access to suppliers that the indie makers don't. But where you will see a difference is in the formulation from one brand to the next. Okay, so here's what we've got for thin ice. I'm going to start on black. That looks pretty okay. There's still some dispersal there. Over white, this can kind of give you a sense of how this might look if you were to wear this over some lighter colors. It's not the most gray cast that I've seen in a magnetic polish, but it's also not the most sheer either. So let's see how this goes if you put it over red and blue. You know, like part of this also is that because there are so many brands out there that make like a silver magnetic topper, hopefully from this video you'll see like, hey, it's ideally, like, let's say if you're already shopping with Cracked and you happen to like what you see from Thin Ice, you know, if you're already shopping with them, then that can be an indication to you like, oh yeah, I like what I saw of Thin Ice, so let me add that to my cart, as opposed to needing to feel that you've got to make a completely separate order for a silver magnetic topper with a different brand that you weren't already thinking of shopping with. Okay, so here we are with the red and blue side. This is where I'm going to be curious to see how this will potentially tighten up with the DRK magic effect, because as it is right now, it is still a bit dispersed. Now, when I go and magnetize this with the magic effect, I magnetize that for a full minute. And then also when I do the top coat, that's also going to be for a full minute. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera now. And then let's see, how do I want to do this? I think that, yeah, I'm gonna show you this in some other lighting, but then for the velvet swatches, because those I want to show those more head to head with each other, I'll put a timestamp in the for the video for where you can jump ahead to see that more towards the end. So let's go ahead and see Thin Ice and some other lighting. Next is Fancy Gloss Silver Magnetic. Okay, they call it Silver Magnetic Top Coat. I always like to give my explanation that this is not the same as like a quick dry top coat that's going to give your nails that kind of like protection from the elements and smudging and things like that once everything has dried and cured. This is, I like to call these like a silver magnetic topper, and after that you still want to put on like your regular toluene free quick dry top coat. Okay, so with that being said, here is how this one looks in the velvet style. I think one of the things I'll also do here, as we go along, I'm going to do some the velvet comparisons here so that you can see these as we build them up, but I'm still going to save the like final like velvet other lighting comparison for the end of the video most likely. So Cracked is on the left, Fancy Gloss is on the right. To my eye, the Fancy Gloss one has a much finer particle size to it. It is not a fine particle magnetic topper in the way that you think of like the pull toppers from Fancy Gloss are, but it is just like, I think from this angle here, you can probably see the comparison between like just how much more easily you can see the black underneath on the Fancy Gloss side compared to Cracked, which even at this extreme you still see that silver cast. So let's go on to the cat eye style. Wow. There we go. That's our random animal sound of this video, I guess. Okay, so first doing it over white and black. You know, as I'm magnetizing this, I'll say another tip for any of y'all who are trying to get more out of your nail polishes, and especially like if you do already have a silver magnetic topper and you're trying to figure out like, hey, what can you do with it? A recommendation I have would be to experiment with putting jelly polishes over a silver magnetic topper that's over black. So start with the black cream, do a silver magnetic topper, and then do a sheer jelly on top of that. You're going to want to use a jelly that is more sheer and not milky, and it's definitely going to take some trial and error, I think, to figure out which jellies will work best with that. But that is a fantastic way to be like, well, you have a silver magnetic topper, but then let's say you want to have like a red magnetic look over black. Try out your red jellies over that and see if it'll give you the look that you are going for. Okay, this is interesting. I've got to say that like even before applying the DRK magic effect, I'm getting a more crisp line here from the Fancy Gloss just straight out of the bottle compared to cracked. So as I'm swatching the red and blue, I'll also mention, I think that there's no like right or wrong with this because so much of nail polish can come down to individual preferences. I know that quite often I will come across posts and say like the Reddit Lacquerista subreddit where people talk about magnetic nail polishes and explain that they actually prefer a more dispersed look. And so if that's the case for you, for example, and if you had to choose between what we have looked at so far with cracked and Fancy Gloss, if you prefer a more crisp magnetic line, you would most likely prefer the Fancy Gloss, as opposed to if you're someone who likes more diffusion, then the cracked option would be better for you. This looks really good over the red and blue as well. And you know, with these magnetic toppers, putting them over lighter colors can always more often than not be tricky, because you're gonna have that gray cast that I've been talking about. But it's great to see that even over like non-black colors like this red and blue, this looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna put on Magic Effect, top coat, and let's see these in some other lighting. Next, I have actually two different options to show y'all from Holo Taco. The first one is Magnetic Taco, and here is how it looks in the velvet style. Oh, again, just like that, like the magnetic pigment just disappears over black. Over white, still looks pretty good. I mean, let's do some comparisons to what we've got so far with Fancy Gloss. Holding multiple sticks at a time can become a little tricky, so let's see how we got here. Okay, so cracked on the left, Fancy Gloss in the middle, Holo Taco, Magnetic Taco on the right. And I'm sorry for the like light glare that pops up there in the reflection a little bit. I'll try to avoid that if I can. So yeah, I think here Cracks Thin Ice is still by far the one that has the most of that gray cast there. And so if I were to compare Fancy Gloss to Magnetic Taco so far, I think at least in the velvet style, they seem pretty similar. Magnetic Taco disappears just a little bit more over white, but you know, that's, you really have to be looking for that in order to, it's not something that I think I would necessarily pick up on if I were to wear this as a full manicure and if I were, you know, like real world scenario. So let's see this over white and black. And And I know that this was a limited edition polish from Holo Taco. As of the filming of this video, it is actually once again available in the Holo Taco store. For how long, I don't know. So if it's something you've been hoping to get and maybe you missed out on it the first time around, go get it if you can. But what I'm hoping is that this will prove to be equivalent to at least one of the other options that I'm showing you all here today, so that you can get something similar at a better price point. And yeah, so far I'm thinking that the Fancy Gloss one is most likely going to be the closest comparison there. But let's see over red and blue. And doing this video is reminding me I really need to wear these silver magnetic toppers more often. I mean, I've got multiple of them, as you all can see. It's just like I don't know, I have so many options to choose from, and I have to be in the right mood to want to do magnetics, and I have to have the right amount of time and patience available to do magnetics. So unfortunately, it's not something I can always like pop in and sit down to do. But yeah, over red and blue, that's looking pretty good there. It's yeah, I see a lot of similarities to the Fancy Gloss, more so. The cracked is still the one with the most dispersal here, but yeah, I think that if like once the Holo Taco one becomes no longer available again, if you missed out on that, the Fancy Gloss would be my next best recommendation there. So before I jump to showing these and some other lighting, I want to jump over to the next Holo Taco one, which is Holo Magnetic Taco. If it were me, I would have come up with like a completely different name for these, you know, like not have the name of one be in the other, you know, that's just me. I'm just saying. But here is how Holo Magnetic Taco looks in the velvet style over white and black. And I think that as far as like holo appearance is concerned, you definitely see that more over the black side. Like I'm not picking up on that at all over white, which is typical of holo glitters anyway. Okay, so we're up to 4 on the from left to right. We've got stop sticking together. From left to right, we've got cracked, Fancy Gloss, Holo Taco, Magnetic Taco, and then on the right is Holo Magnetic Taco from Holo Taco. And yeah, when you take a look on the black side of it, you can see that difference that exists between regular Magnetic Taco and Holo Magnetic Taco. You can also tell though that like when you shift over to the black side, Magnetic Taco, just like Fancy Gloss, it nearly completely disappears, but you can still see with Holo Magnetic Taco that the pigment that is there. Okay, so like in the velvet style, I like the idea of what Holo Magnetic Taco is trying to do. I just feel like there's maybe a little bit too much of it going on here. Y'all know how I get when I like like with toppers, how I put them into like I essentially start using some of the more concentrated ones as like a source that I will like pour out into a bottle and then put some suspension base in it to like give it a more sparse result. I'm almost wondering at some point if I want to do that with Holo Magnetic Taco, because I like the idea of this, but I just feel like I want to be able to see a little bit more of the black than I am here. So going on to the cat eye style. And so for our, let me make sure I'm using the right one again. Nope. See, I'm so glad I double checked because I still had Magnetic Taco open in front of me from before. So here is Holo Magnetic Taco in the cat eye style. Okay, also I got a little carried away with the black over here. It just was like, rah. I think because of how the swatch wheel was curving around here, but we'll still be able to see what's going on here. All right, I'm wondering, and this is one I haven't really worn much, so I can't remember how it goes, but I know I remember hearing reviews of Holo Magnetic Taco, people saying that they wish that it were, that they wanted it to give them a more crisp line than it actually did. And I know you all can't see just yet, but from what I'm seeing here, yeah, I can definitely, hold up. Sorry, y'all, that was okay. So back when I said like my reactions are gonna be genuine, ooh, okay, okay, Olivia, say something. You're recording a video. I'll tell you what this looks like. This looks like how it does when you put a toluene based top coat over magnetic polish and it like spreads out again. That is okay. So once again, I'm wondering if like what would happen if I were to like use this bottle as like a concentrated source and then you know, put it into another bottle with some suspension base and just kind of see how it goes from there. Because again, I like the idea of having a holographic magnetic topper, but it's gotta behave in the way that I want it to, you know? Like it can't be something that is like, okay, this one was better. I wonder if because over black it just shows up a lot more with the extra diffusion that's on the top and bottom there. Ooh, okay. I am hoping that after I put some DRK magic effect on this, that's gonna fix it a bit. And again, I haven't yet put it on just regular magnetic taco yet. So I guess let's see. The final polish that I'm going to show you all today is from Monarch Lacquer. This one is called Enigma Glow. This was actually the first silver magnetic topper that I added into my collection. So I think this bottle's about halfway full or halfway empty, glass half full, optimism, whatever at this point. Here is how it looks in the velvet style. And to compare it to all of our others. Also, as I'm trying to like hold these swatch sticks, I feel like Edward Scissorhands or something like that, or Freddy Krueger or some combination thereof. I think that the cracked is most similar to Monarch. And actually, you know, okay, let me try this. Here we go. We're just going to do this in two separate hands because one hand's kind of hard. So here it is, and you know, all of these side by side, but again, because I think that the cracked and Monarch are most similar to each other of the ones that we're looking at today, I wanted to show these especially side by side. So if I were to add in, say, like the fancy gloss just off to the side, for instance, you can kind of see that as an example of one where the like seeing through to the black is a little bit more clear, whereas cracked and Monarch are pretty much about the same. So let's do these in the cat eye style. Yeah, y'all, I am okay. So I'm swatching this out. I'm just gonna keep talking about the Holo Taco, Holo Magnetic Taco one again, because okay, so like on the one hand, I think that could maybe work if I wanted to do like a TV static manicure, but I'm so curious to see what that would look like if I were to put it into like its own bottle, like to dilute it a little bit. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see. Okay, here is the Monarch. Yeah, looks pretty good so far. And you can see that, yeah, there is about the same amount of dispersion compared to like what we saw with crack towards the beginning of this video, compared to, say, the Fancy Gloss and the Holo Taco Magnetic Taco. So as I'm starting to wind down this video and think about overall recommendations, it is helpful, I think, for me to consider which of these are kind of like equivalent to one another in terms of formula, more or less. And unfortunately, that Holo Magnetic Taco is its own outlier. I remember hearing from some other brands in the past, like Cracked, I know, had some issues with doing a holographic magnetic topper or holographic magnetic polish. I think it was called holographic garbage. I've got that one in my collection. And they discontinued that one because it just wasn't performing the way that they wanted it to. So yeah, this is the Monarch. I thought about this and could not let it go. So y'all, we're gonna do we're gonna do a little experiment here. I am starting with some of the glitter suspension base from Glitter Unique. Basically, what I'm hoping to see here is can I essentially like dilute Holo Magnetic Taco a bit to still retain the like really beautiful colors that you get in there, but in a way that's less busy. So I'm gonna show y'all basically what I do when I go about like diluting a polish, typically like a topper that I like, a flake or glitter topper that I want to use in a more sparse way. So I've poured out the glitter suspension base. The reason I was like, okay, sure, let's just go ahead and do this. I had an empty bottle of DRK Magic Effect that I can put this into. So let's just see what happens. And there's really no like hard and fast rule to like how much you want to pour in there. But I will recommend, if you try to do this, start with a smaller amount. You can always add in more if you need to, but once you've added it in, you can't really take out unless you then go in and add in more suspension base or more thinner or something like that. Okay, that's looking... it's hard to tell. My gut's telling me just a little bit more will be what I want. And I'm probably going to put some thinner in here as well, just to get it to a consistency that I like. Okay, that should be enough. You know what? Something I love about doing this with polishes is that when you treat a full bottle of nail polish as a concentrated source, I end up getting so much more use out of it over the long term, because I prefer to use it in a more sparse way. Oh, that's much better. Okay, so let's see. I mean, y'all, I've done this before, like I said, with glitter toppers. I've done this with flake toppers. I've never done this with like a magnetic topper, so I really do not know what to expect from this. Also, unfortunately, I don't have a mixing ball in this magic effect, but hopefully that won't affect the way that I can work with this. And we'll see. And I was not planning to do this when I sat down to film this video, but I just could not shake the idea, and could not, also I did not want to leave you all in suspense and wonder, like, but how could that look? You know, would it give a better or a result that's more in alignment with what I was hoping to get? So if I just take a look at this in the bottle, I don't know where that red glitter is coming from, but disregard that. You can see the difference there in how much more concentrated Holo Magnetic Taco is regularly compared to what I've put here. So on the swatch wheel, and I'm just going to do this over black in the cat eye style, I've got I was about to pick up the stick and try to magnetize with that. That's not going to work. So let me make sure I've got my my bar magnet there, and I hope this does what I want it to do. If not, you know, no harm, no foul. It's just suspension base. Okay. All right. I mean, that's kind of nice on its own, even non-magnetized. Okay. I'm literally holding my breath over here, y'all. Okay. Oh, okay. Yep. This is exactly it. I know you can't see it just yet, but it's kind of bare. It's almost there, right? But like it is, that's kind of nice. And this is something where I could see, I wasn't planning on doing this on the velvet one as well, but as I prepare this stick here, I'm gonna talk about what I like about this. I like this a lot. It's something where it gives just a nice pop of glitter that's there, and it makes it feel like a very nice and sparse midnight sky, but in a way that isn't overly crowded or busy. I mean, if we just go back and compare this, the before to the after, I mean, and I like that so much. It gives just a really beautiful glittery, a dispersed glittery galaxy. That's, y'all, I knew there was a word I was reaching for, just could not think about it. A glittery galaxy. And now I'm actually really excited to use this new version of it in a way that I have not been excited to use this, because y'all, this is doing way too much for me. But this is very nice. I can, ooh, wait. I could even, like, if once I get tired of this manicure, I could even put that over here for some extra glitter. So let's see how this looks in the velvet style. Normally I would let this black dry down just a little bit longer, but it's getting kind of late here right now, and I kind of want to wrap this up. So let's see. I'm hoping that this is going to look pretty good in the velvet style too. Like, I've got hope, y'all. I've got hope. Let's see. All right. Ooh. See, yeah, that right there is what I wanted to get from this polish, like straight out of the bottle. This is what I wanted to get, y'all. Okay. So, you all know how on this channel we talk about things that are going to the club, right? Let me think for a moment with this, because this is something that is going to the club. Okay. I don't know if it's because, like I said, it's getting kind of late right now. My my normally creative mind is kind of not functioning at optimal level right now. And maybe it's because this is in the shape of a pen, but like this is a black pen that's going to the club. It's like, click, I'm here at the club, I'm sparkly, I'm gonna write my name down on that guest list. I don't know why it's going to the club and it's Southern, but here we are. Y'all, okay, let me see, Holo Magnetic Taco. Here is where we started with this, and here is the after. I mean, I'm so glad I took the time to do this, because like, if this is not a case for like, hopefully those of any of you, if you've been like watching my videos and occasionally hearing me talk about how how I often prefer to dilute my toppers because of my preference for a more sparse look, and you're like, if you've ever wondered like why, this is why. I mean, this on the right is exactly what this polish should have been straight out of the bottle. But good news, if you, like me, were unhappy with Holo Magnetic Taco right out of the bottle, there is hope. Just get yourself some glitter suspension base from somewhere like Glitter Unique, and you know, just experiment with getting like pouring it in there. Now, that is what I used here, so I can tell you that that works. I know that I've read some recommendations that people have had for other kinds of experiments, in like, let's say if you had a cream polish in a certain color and you wanted to dilute that to make it more of a crelly or a jelly. Sometimes I see the recommendation there is just take like a little bit of top coat or a little bit of clear nail polish and use that to dilute with. And that can absolutely work for a cream. However, because we've got glitter here, or like magnetic particles here that you don't want to have sink down to the bottom, I can't say for sure whether or not putting like diluting Holo Magnetic Taco within just clear nail polish or top coat or like a glitter grabber would give you the same kind of result that you're looking for. But this is so pretty. I'm just, okay, y'all know how I get, right? Where like I do these videos and I literally just finished doing my nails and I was so excited about my manicure, but now I've done some experiment on video and I come across some nail combination that's cuter than, I mean, I still like you. Okay. That it's cute in a different way than what I currently have on. I cannot wait to wear this as a full manicure at some point. So, and to experiment with it over different colors. So, yeah, I think what I'm gonna do, because like I said, it is getting late and I never like to do my outros when I'm like on the verge of yawning every other word. I'm going to actually wait until tomorrow to film that outro. That also will allow me to see how these swatches look a day later, because you know it helps to get a sense of like not just how a polish looks at one point in time, but how's it look the next day. So when you all see me next, it will be tomorrow. Yeah, so first, new day, new outfit, who dis? And so overall final thoughts for the polishes that I swatch in this video. If you are someone who prefers a more crisp magnetic effect with your magnetic toppers, my best recommendations for you from the ones that I swatched today would be the Fancy Gloss and the Holo Taco Magnetic Taco ones, which was like the first Holo Taco that I showed. And if you are someone who is on the other end of that, where you prefer a more diffused magnetic effect, then my recommendations for you would be the Cracked and the Monarch. So you may be wondering, but Olivia, you swatched another Holo Taco. Where does that one fall? I mean, y'all, that Holo Magnetic Taco falls into its own category. That is like, if you want to wear that one straight out of the bottle, you have to be somebody who likes a really, really dispersed magnetic look, almost to the point where you almost start to question, did I even magnetize this at all? I mean, it is, I just like, it's very, very shocking just how that one went. But I often say in these videos that I love it when I end up getting some kind of, or stumbling across some kind of happy accident. I think, to be Bob Ross for a moment, I think that's what he said, right? Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted here. I always love it when I'm filming a video and then I walk away from a video with some kind of new technique or some kind of new layering combination or new color combination that I never would have thought of to do had it not been for filming that video. And in this case, I think probably my favorite thing that happened was deciding to go through the experiment of diluting the or like using the Holo Magnetic Taco bottle as like a concentrated solution and then pouring that into its own bottle, adding suspension base, making it a little bit more diffused. I mean, I just really still am so happy with how that one turned out. It just was stunning. So I would say, if you are someone who is new to the process of making your own polishes, like maybe you're someone who you've already bought some polish making supplies, but you don't quite know where to begin, and you're maybe a little afraid you might mess something up, or you don't know like what kind of polishes you might want to make just from scratch. A good way of like easing into the polish making process, I feel, would be to consider doing something like that with polishes that namely toppers, I think, are where you're going to get the most value or traction out of that. Also, by the way, if it sounds like I'm in a car wash right now, it's because it's like pouring rain right now. It really sounds like I'm in a car wash. So it's like we're in a rainforest. Nature sounds. Anyway, again, I'm getting distracted. But as I was saying, I think that if you go through this process of taking some of your toppers that you feel are too busy. Now, I don't want to say thick, because that to me refers more to like the consistency of the formula and not so much how densely packed those particles might be. Take one of your more densely packed toppers and do like what I did, which is to pour a little out into some glitter suspension base, mix it up, test it out, see if that's better for your preferences. And then I promise y'all, if you do that, it's like you discovered gold, because then you realize a couple things. One, you realize that you have unlocked a version of that polish that is more aligned to your particle density preferences. And then two, you have unlocked the realization that this bottle, like the single bottle of, say, like that Holo Taco, Holo Magnetic Taco that I put into the other one, that will last you like practically forever, because now you just, like, when you run out of that bottle that you portioned it out into, you just go back to the source, pour out a little more, mixy, and it will just last you forever. It is such a great way to like get more out of your polishes. And if any of y'all are also in the like low particle density club, please let me know. I'm sure it can't just be me. So yeah, y'all know I love sending things to the club, but I also like doing it in a way where I'm like, sometimes less is more, but we're still sparkly. Anyway, I hope that this video has helped you all get a better sense of some of the comparisons between various silver magnetic toppers that are out there. I think, as I mentioned in the intro, these are by no means the only brands out there that offer a silver magnetic topper. So if any of you happen to have one that was not included in this video, but you do want to share your thoughts on it so that other people can know kind of like what to expect from it, I would love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments. one of the things I truly appreciate about all of you who take the time and consideration to comment on my channel here is how thoughtful you are when it comes to sharing tips that are going to be valuable for your fellow polish lovers. I feel like the nail polish community is such a robust wealth source of knowledge that y'all know what I'm trying to say. Words are hard. And as always, thank y'all so much for being here. I'm super excited to keep filming some more fun videos that I've got coming up over the coming weeks and months and beyond. That sounded very dramatic, especially now as the rain is kicking back in. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.